Yo, 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 what's going on? Niner gang. You know who it is. It's not your insider, it's your outsider, Sammy G. And this is the day after the storm. This is the day after the 49ers have effectively ruined three first round picks. The Dolphins made good of the three first round picks with who they drafted. But the 49ers not only have failed the organization, not only have failed the team, but they failed Trey Lance. They failed to commit to him. They failed to develop him. And they really failed to just take care of him as a player, you know? You could tell he wasn't happy here anymore. You could tell Trey Lance didn't want to be on the team anymore. And it's sad to see. But on a more brighter note, Trey Lance did finally get traded. He will be on the Cowboys now. He got traded for a fourth round pick. So I'm not personally happy about it because I think Trey, if he gets the reps and he gets the attention that he deserves, because he hasn't played a lot in college, so he needs a lot of reps and he needs attention, and knowing how Dak Prescott never stays healthy, I think he'll eventually get those reps. Now, what can he become in this league? That's, unwritten and, not foreseen yet, but a lot of uncertainty in Trey Lance's career. So I get why they moved off of him. I think it honestly, as far as like the commitment part, they did good finally just picking a quarterback and committing to him. Because if Trey was on this team and Brock started struggling, you know what fans are going to do? They're going to start calling for Trey. You've seen what happened in the preseason. They've seen what happened in the preseason. They're like, we're going to have a guy that's going to get constantly called if our main guy, Brock Purdy, starts to struggle. And it is a distraction for the team, so I understand it. But it's just like you have effectively wasted all those picks. Now, I get it. They didn't know what Brock was going to become, but that's besides the point. This situation has been very mishandled, and yeah. So hopefully this is never to occur again. Next time they gotta be committed to the process. They need to be committed to who the guy is and giving him as much reps as possible and keep trying to develop him, because they weren't. Now, we really got lucky with Brock, because if we didn't have Brock, we might be screwed, especially for a win-now team, right? It would be different if we were kind of like the Bears or the Panthers. This is a win-now team, so the San Francisco 49ers need a win-now player, and Brock is a win-now player. So as far as the handling situation, Trey, you can't really respect him for it, but as far as finally committing to a guy, because the 49ers are always 1 foot in, 1 foot out. They're never really committed to a guy. So finally, they have committed to Brock, committed to his process, and committed to, just one guy. Like, okay, this is our guy. We're going to go all out on this guy and surround him with the best players, which we already have, and the best defense, which we already have. So I'm glad on that. Now, the preseason game, I wasn't really too interested in it. Wasn't really much to watch. I mean, I'm not going to watch Sam Darnold. The guy, like for any team, on any team, they're not going to watch their backup. They don't really care. Like when, I'm sure Chargers fans weren't excited to see, what's the guy's name? Easton Stick. I'm sure Charger fans weren't wanting to watch that game. You know what I mean? So it's like, we're on to a new path now. Well, not a new path. We're on to the same path, trying to win a Super Bowl, which hopefully this can be the year. But as far as the committing part and finally just getting all this out of the way and over with, so we could start the season without any distractions, without any, without any, just focus on the games ahead and focus on winning. That's the main part. It's understandable. I'm sure, Kyle can't say or come out, but it's understandable how Kyle, can't say like, oh yeah, it's going to be a big distraction for Brock if he starts struggling the tiniest little bit and they start calling for Trey, And it's good for Trey, man. He needs a fresh start. I'm glad for Trey, and I wish nothing best for Trey. And I hope he balls out in Dallas. Man, I hope he gets a shot. And I hope he proves everybody wrong. I hope he just shows everybody, like, hey, look, I'm exactly what they said. But we'll see. That's, can't be able to tell that for now. But that would be crazy, though. I think we played Dallas in week 5. That would be crazy if we played Trey in week 5. And honestly, with the way this team's handling them, I hope Trey whoops us. Honestly, I'm going to be honest. I'm a 49ers fan, but hey, this team has everything coming to them if Trey comes back and just freaking whoops this team. But anyways, on to more and better things. This defense, this San Francisco defense, has a big concern. You see my dog right there. Right there. This San Francisco defense has a big concern. They cannot stop the run, number one. And number two, they struggle with... That is number two. They struggle with the run. They can't stop the run. Oh, and they struggle with mobile quarterbacks. That's what I was going to say. They struggle so hard with mobile quarterbacks. And it's like... And now there's a new defensive coach here. Nick Bosa hasn't still gone on the field, which we're going to talk about that here in a second. So it's like, ooh. And for every position on this team, if one guy goes out, that team has effectively, or that unit has effectively drastically changed. If Trent Williams goes out, this offensive line is trash. If Brock Purdy goes out, this quarterback room's trash. If, I don't know. If Christian McCaffrey goes out, this running back room is pretty much trash. We've seen in the preseason game, Jordan Mason can't even hold on to the ball. This dude's fumbling in the end zone. That's a major concern. You're fumbling in the end zone. If Nick Bosa doesn't come back from week 1, this whole defensive line is changed. So it's like they've traded depth for maybe 1 or 2 skilled guys, which that's crucial. You need depth in this league. In a league of where people get hurt and people get injured, you need depth. So the first game is September 10th versus the Steelers. So it's going to be interesting to see because we're going to Pittsburgh. It's going to be interesting to see how the 49ers play. It's going to be interesting to see what Brock does against a good defense because that defense is no joke, With that defensive line, I mean, it's no joke. So, and they got an upcoming offense, and Kenny Pickett, that new receiver that they have on the Steelers. So, this team is no joke, man. Very up and coming, and they got something to prove. The 49ers, can argue like they don't got nothing to prove. They don't play like they have anything to prove. But the Steelers got something to prove. And they're not going to be no cake and, no walk in the park, So it's going to be interesting to see what the 49ers do and how they come out and how much points they scored. I'm looking for a high volume points, I'm looking for that 2019 type feel where they blow the other team out of the park. I'm looking for the 2019 49ers team that would blow teams out the park. That started off 7-0, 8-0, whatever it was, and just crush them. Just absolutely crush their opponent, Because it has been a lot more of the San Francisco defense doing the job opposed to the offense. The defense has really been what's keeping this team alive as opposed to the offense, because the offense has a tendency to struggle, which is crazy under Kyle Shanahan, a offensive genius. So look out for that because this team has struggled, or this offense has struggled, correction. And it's going to be interesting to see with a new defensive coordinator or a new defensive head coach, how this team plays. Because, let's face it, I mean, this guy wasn't brought up in the system that the 49ers tend to carry. He's just a completely different coach from a completely different organization. He came from the Panthers. Steve Wilkes came from the Panthers, and now he's on the 49ers. So it's going to be interesting to see what he implements. Is he going to try to keep things the same? How are the players going to react to it? How, is there going to be new and upcoming players, stars, because maybe they play better in, his defense opposed to the 49ers' old defense? There's a bunch of what ifs and a bunch of questions that are going to come out of this year. And The question that everybody has been asking, if the 49ers lose and come short of a Super Bowl, is someone going to be held accountable? Or should they? Should someone on this team be held accountable? And I think absolutely. Absolutely. You've came this far. Well, let me rephrase. How far do they have to go before they won't have to expect any repercussions for that season? I think they have to the 49ers have to at least get to a NFC Championship game. If they don't get to the NFC Championship game, they might effectively get rid of Kyle, honestly, because, I mean, how many times are you going to go to an NFC Championship game and lose, or go to the Super Bowl at one time and lose? I mean, sooner or later, it's just going to be like, you know what? Maybe we're done with the Kyle Shanahan experience. Maybe we're kind of done with this, the whole quarterback situation. You can't find your quarterback and blah, 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 and just, we're over with it. But, hey, Kyle Shanahan did say in a press conference, he did finally talk to the media, which he was been avoiding the media. He seemed very prepared. Kyle Shanahan seemed very kind of like down that they traded Trey Lance. That's a tongue twister. Traded Trey. But Kyle Shanahan did seem down for the most part when he was doing that interview. But then towards the end, a reporter said something. I don't know what he said. He asked him a question. Then Kyle, the snarky Kyle Shanahan comes back and he's like, da, da, da. So he almost got us. Kyle almost got us, but we know that Kyle doesn't really care. He's the same snarky Kyle Shanahan. Now, as far as John Lynch, I don't think John Lynch even wanted Trey to begin with. So they said, oh, we wish we could have kept Trey, and he's so promising and blah blah. Then why don't you keep him? Besides the point, it's a bunch of smoke and mirrors, with this front office right now, and how they're not really giving us straight answers as fans. So it's like, and nobody showed up to the game. The stadium had so many empty seats because I'm sure once they heard Trey Lance got traded, I mean, you see Brock for maybe 1 or 2 series, but then after Sam Darnold and Brandon Allen, like, come on now, nobody wants to see that. Nobody. So, hey, they still have a good team, and the 49ers still have. It's very possible for the 49ers to get into that NFC Championship and to even get into the Super Bowl. But, it's not going to be a walk in the park. They're not going to get handed it. So it's really going to be. This year's really going to tell it all. And also it's going to tell it all about the strides Brock has and what he does. So it's going to be interesting to see as Niners fans and to see where we stand after this year. Because this is, it's so, like I said, smoke and mirrors. We don't really know where we stand as a team. Like, we know the guys that we have, but we really don't know, like, okay, but how good are we? There's been a lot of, like, interceptions thrown by Brock. There's been a lot of drama with Trey. Not by Trey's fault at any means. It's by this team's. Trey has been upstanding, a professional. So, but yeah, there's been a lot of drama, a lot of kind of like how the Warriors were. So it's going to be interesting to see how this team acts and how it rebounds from all that. Because I'm sure a lot of people want Trey to play, want them to start. So that's why I do say I understand why they traded him, because you can't have, like, the locker room divided. Oh, we want Trey. Oh, we want, kind of like the Jimmy and Trey situation of, oh, I want Jimmy. Oh, I want Trey Lance. It's like so much division. So, like I said, I think it is good that we kept one guy, but it's like, I don't really like the fact that we got rid of Trey. But I understand, like, sometimes things just like that have to get done, Sometimes you just got to go with the guy and say, this is our guy. No matter what, this is our guy. Then whatever happens, happens. So I wish the best for Trey. And I can't wait for the season to start. I'm sure Niner gang, Niner faithful, we're ready for that. We're ready for that ring. I think it's been long overdue. And it'll be interesting to see if Kyle can pull it off this year. It'll be interesting to see if Kyle Shanahan can start out hot, to start out aggressive and putting points on the board. Because there should be no excuses now. He has his guy. He has his quarterback guy, Brock, the real deal Purdy, right? So he has his guy. And he has his defense. He has his weapons. There should be no excuses now, right? All we do need is a kicker, though. But that's for another time. I'm out of here. Love y'all. This is your outsider, Sammy G. Let me know in the comments what you think. Bang, bang, Niner gang.